Well, well, well. Welcome back. Or me, welcome back. I don't know. What are we up to, man? So, you remember my last episode? I shouldn't have to explain too much if you do. If you don't, well, you probably should go back and watch it, huh? Because I don't want to recap, you know? Sometimes it feels like when you do stuff like this, make video, you live in an endless little recap loop where it's like you're repeating the same shit over and over again because people need to know what you're talking about, but they don't know what you're talking about because they won't watch the whatever it is you're trying to get them to watch, and you just end up living your life like that. And that's, I don't know how many times I'm sitting here going like, did I already say this? I don't know if I said this already, or I feel like I did in another video. It's always like that because I just, you know, that's how that shit goes. But anyway, so if you want to know what's going on in this video, watch okay. Honestly, you should watch the what is it called now? My Inner Thought series. You should watch from the beginning to now, because you know what I mean. It's the evolution of the idea that we're creating here. So I was thinking the other day, kind of about what I was saying. And it kind of clicks to me now. It's starting to make sense what's happening here. I really think, so we talked a lot about the supernatural stuff. That was the biggest part of the discussion there. And I was given an honest experience of what it was like dealing with that as a kid. And now I want to kind of pick up with that and carry it into adulthood in a more in-depth way. Because I kind of talked about it a bit, but I need to talk about it even more. So, what I've begun to realize is, let's say, in the world there's a phenomena. So, whether that's something you just can't explain or just don't understand yet. And we can lump in like ghosts, what people call ghosts, or divine messengers, demons, daemons, aliens, you know, all this kind of stuff that's in this realm of the supernatural. We'll call that a phenomena. Those are things that come up. Now, they happen, so you are confronted with said phenomena, whether that be a voice or you're face to face with something you can't explain. From that point, I would say those are vessels. Those are doorways. And through the doorway, you put your own emotions. You put your own experience. And it becomes that. It's, to me, it seems common sense in a way, because it's like, what else do humans do? When we're confronted with something, we deal with it in the only way we know how. There are some people that have low frequency kind of consciousness. So everything's an attack against them. Everyone's out to get them. You know, those kind of people, like, it's always me, me, me. Like, woe is me, I'm suffering so hard in this world, I can't seem to catch a break. They're putting into whatever is coming at them their own experience of it. We see that in the physical world. If you walk out to your vehicle and it's a flat tire, you could just be woe is me, because that's your life experience. Or you could say, like, that just happens, I'll just fix it. Do you know what I'm saying? So if we do that in our life here, in the mortal realm, I guess you could say, on Earth, why the hell wouldn't it be that in a metaphysical way? Why wouldn't it be that in a spiritual way, we could say? So that's kind of been the idea that I've been poking around with. And you're met with a phenomena, you're met with something you cannot explain, and you put inside of it your experience, and it kind of animates that, and it becomes that. So, for example, when I was a child and I was talking about laying in the room and something was trying to open the window, I put into that a negative experience because I was a child. I couldn't rationalize anything more than that. It's scary. But as an adult, was it truly that it was actually happening? Would that have manifested in a different way if I had a different mindset to look at it from? Instead of a window being forced open, What if I saw something different because of the way that I carry about in my own life? Not becoming a victim, not becoming someone who's going to let fear rule them, not becoming someone who is afraid of these things in a way that they're evil or wrong. As I spoke before, what's the word? Embracing this strange supernatural thing has allowed me to see it in a different angle now. It's not so scary, though there are times when it does affect me in that way. So these are the things that I've been kind of thinking about. So to put it simply again, it's the supernatural experiences that you have. You're the one who can animate that, and it tells you what it needs to tell you, or it scares you, or whatever it happens to be. It's so vague. I can't really give like examples because everyone experiences this stuff very differently. But I will say, in your life, think of the things that you cannot explain that have happened to you. Encounters from voices, sounds, vision, dreams, whatever it happens to be, something you cannot explain. And if you try to tell someone, they're going to say you're crazy. Whether that's seeing Sasquatch, being abducted by aliens, or seeing a ghost, or, I don't know, encountering something in a dream. Something you can't explain to someone else. Truly start to think, who were you when you met that? And what did you take with you when you greeted that person? Here's a famous kind of example of that idea, actually, now that I just think about it. In Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back. Remember when Luke goes to Dagobah and he gets trained by Yoda, right? Now we're going to flash forward a little bit. Remember the part where he was running with Yoda on his back and blah, blah, blah. They were training. And he asked him about the dark side. Is it stronger? And Yoda's like, no, it's not stronger. It's more tempting and easy to come to you in a fight, but, it'll consume you, right? And Luke's like, how will I know the good from the bad? And Yoda's like, you'll know. And then Luke is still asking. He's like, but I don't understand. And Yoda just gets frustrated and said, just no more training today. Done. He sets Yoda down. He takes off his backpack. He's about to put his jacket on, and he says, I don't remember the order of this, forgive me, but he says something along the lines of, like, it feels cold. He's putting his coat on. What is that place over there? And the camera pans to this kind of cave-like entrance. And Yoda's like, it's powerful in the dark side. And he basically tells him, you have to go in there. And Luke's like, okay, right? And he puts on his weapon belt. He's got his lightsaber and his blaster. And what does Yoda say? Your weapons, you will not need them. And he takes them anyway. Okay, he goes in. But let's pause. Because what does Yoda say before that? He goes in. Luke asks, what's in there? This is a place. Let me set this up a little bit more for you. This cave is strong in the dark side. The dark side is this ethereal thing. It's something you tap into. It's the Force. It's this metaphysical thing that is unexplainable. It carries ghosts. It carries telekinesis, and it has the ability for you to change the world around you through the encounter you have with it. So he senses that. It's really strong. And Yoda tells him it's strong on the dark side. But Luke says, what's in there? And what does Yoda say? Only what you take with you. That's when he tells him, your weapons, you're not going to need them. And Luke takes it anyway. So what did he do? He went in there with his weapons. So he brought that fear, that reliance on... Because to me, reliance on a weapon is a sense of fear. It's a sense of weakness. If you feel you need that, you're going to encourage that to come to you. And he goes in there and he confronts Darth Vader, and Darth Vader's mask blows up and it's his face, okay? You are the thing you fear the most. You are the big bad guy that you have to confront, okay? I'll take that and I'll kind of go in real life. A lot of the time, especially where I live, there's a lot of people that have guns out here, right? It's just kind of common. There's so many people with guns. I mean, I feel like I'm the only person that doesn't own a fucking gun. honestly. Now, before I talk about this, I'm going to caveat with there is nothing wrong with guns. I don't care about, people taking guns away, or that's not what I'm about. I don't care if you want to own one, whatever, just please be responsible. That's it. That's all I ask. So, because I notice that people have guns, a lot of them try to get you to get a gun. I don't know how many times people keep asking me and wanting me, you should get a gun, you should get a gun, you should get a gun. You never know, you never know, you never know. And what's the argument? You don't need a gun now, but when you do, you do. And that's when you need it, and you should have it. Okay. Fair enough, right? Makes sense. But not once so far in my life, and I'll say so far, I will make sure that's clear, I have never needed one. Ever. I've never felt the urge to have one. Just didn't occur to me. I don't know. Never been in my life where I thought, oh man, a gun right about now would be fucking... But when you imagine it, when you imagine all the times you would need a gun in your head, all the little made-up scenarios that you do on your drive or when you're sitting down in your house or whenever you have them, all of a sudden you need a gun, don't you? You're creating that. I feel like owning one and having one, bringing a gun with you, encourages things to happen to you because you're wanting it to happen. You don't think you are. You think I'm protecting myself, my kin, my family, my whatever. But you're not. You're encouraging it to come. You're kind of begging it. No one wants to admit this, but this is what they're doing. You're begging it to happen so you can finally use it. That is meeting an encounter, a supernatural encounter, with what you have in you. When Yoda tells him, you don't need your gun to go into that really strong, dark side aura place. You don't need that. In Luke's mind, he's like, well, if it's evil, I'm going to need a weapon. You need a weapon against evil, clearly. And that's when Luke failed. Because that's not how you meet evil. So, I'm telling you these things. So let's kind of zoom out a little bit and say, well, I don't understand what this has anything to do with what you first started talking about. How you meet phenomena, how you meet supernatural things, and how it changes the way you see it. When you meet something you cannot explain, it acts the same as it does in the material world. So what we were just talking about, weapons and encouraging violence to happen in a subtle way. The same thing happens in the supernatural realm. I'm going to call it the realm of the imaginary, okay? That's going to taint it the way you probably see it, but that doesn't take away what it really is. The imaginary is the place where all this is born, and you allow it. It's a part of reality we cannot grasp right now. We think it is just that, imaginary. It's not real. You're making it up. But in reality, that's where everything is made. Okay. When you are confronted by some kind of... Okay, let's go back to when I was a child and something was trying to get into my room. I met that with my own fear. I met that with what I imagined was going to happen to me. I met that with my experience. I saw something I could not explain. I filled it in with my own fears. That's what that is. When you see a ghost, let's say, you've interpreted it as a ghost. In your mind, you've created what a ghost means and what an identifier is to it and how a ghost works. And you've created all these things. Now, all these things are based upon the culture that you're growing up around. Your spiritual beliefs, your scientific beliefs, your cultural beliefs. Anything that makes you who you are has interpreted what you think is a ghost. Right? Now, you already met it with what you've already created what it is. You've made that. It was an empty idea, an empty transcendent vessel, and you already put inside of it what you think it is. So that's half of it. Now that you've created this thing, ghosts are bad things. In fact, they're demons, because I'm Christian. So that demon is evil, and it wants something from me, and I must, banish it with holy water and Christ and all that stuff. You've already made that. You've created that thing now. It was a vessel to be harnessed, and you threw all that in it. Now it becomes that. So how did you eventually meet it then? As you described what it was. You made what's happening to you. Does that make sense? We'll go to the gun thing. When you own a weapon, and I sit down and I say, okay, when would you need this, for instance? Let's say you have the gun, it's in your waistband or whatever, and I say, imagine when you would need this. What are the first scenarios that come into your mind? Sometimes it's accosted by someone from another race. It's always the other race that attacks you, isn't it? Or it's usually always a man you always think about, right? So you think a certain gender, you think a certain race, you think a certain scenario. Am I getting mugged? Am I stopping a robbery from happening? Whatever scenarios you come up with, break those down and you tell me what that really says about you as a person. And this goes beyond our modern race thing. You know how we're kind of caught in that right now, where everybody's a racist because they have a thought that isn't normal. Whatever. We're not talking about that. We're talking about something higher. You're meeting that with your imaginary sense, and you're willing it to happen. It's almost like you want this. If you didn't, then you wouldn't own it. You do that with everything. And so when you meet something you cannot explain, you're meeting it as yourself. You're Luke going into there and creating the evil thing, and you have to fight the evil thing with your lightsaber. You just made that come. That didn't happen. When he stepped out of there, Luke stepped out of the cave, none of that happened. He imagined it had happened. And that's very crucial when you want to walk through this world. If you want to claim to be someone who's enlightened, you want to claim to be someone who just understands and who's trying to be a good person and who's going down this path of what you could call righteousness, you have to grasp this shit. There is no way around it. Because as human beings, we tend to throw everything on other people. It's other people. It's other people. They're the asshole. They're the idiot. They're the bad person. They. That's all you guys do. It's just throwing it around at other fucking people because they're not what you are. So you're creating your world around you. Again, if that happens in the material world, then it's going to happen in the immaterial world. If in your real life, there's a certain group of people you do not like, and you have all these reasons because of that, whether they're like a Muslim, whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're, I don't know, some other kind of thing that you're not, you're making that up in your fucking head, and you're creating this bad enemy. And the minute you confront it with another real human being, you put it on them. They're evil racist. They're the fucking Muslim-loving blah, blah, blah. They're the Christian, no. You're doing that. You're killing yourself through them. So if you're doing that in the material world, why the fuck wouldn't you do that in the immaterial, is my point. If you're confronted with something you cannot explain, you're going to identify it and treat it as everything you do know how to explain. What you were taught. I use the Christian one because it's so easy. There's so many Christians in this world. You're taught this is what it is in the books. So that's how you should treat it. And you're none the wiser. Because it's like, why would they lie to me? You've been taught your whole life Jesus was this great guy. So it's like, why would there be lies? And I'm not saying that like there's some evil intent behind all this stuff. This is just how humans are. We forget that we do these things. And this is okay. It's just, you got to realize that you can still be Christian and move through that life, but you need to realize what it's really about, So what I'm trying to say here is you are what you see, whether it's real or whether it's not. That is happening to you of your own volition. This is something I began to notice as I've been walking down this path that I've been walking down. Whatever this path is, I can only call it a shaman thing, because that's what I'm about. That's what I want. So that's kind of the only thing I could think it really is. And that's seeing through these veils that have been placed everywhere around you. So, do you remember my that dream that I had, where it said to keep going deeper and deeper, farther beyond everything, until you get to the little eye? That's what this is. That's what this is. When you get beyond all those things that made you, the truth lies in the little eye. The little eye is the fucking first you that has never been grown. Because all around it's this deep, dark forest of, let's say, consciousness. The metaphor. Civilization, you know. Your duties, your tasks, the thing you're meant to do and how you're supposed to be and everything. That's the deep, dark forest. And in the center of it is a little tiny plant. Little eye. And we can call that your ego, your real self. And it's up to you to find that, harvest it, take care of it, grow it, so you can find what you really are. And you have to see it in every fucking thing you do. Whether that's how you treat the phenomena, the supernatural, or whether that's how you treat your neighbors, or how you treat the world around you at large. Whatever, the positive and the negative. This is something that I'm learning, and I'm still kind of struggling with, but I'm trying to figure it out. You know, I completely understand that I do these things too. That's why I'm able to speak of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope people don't I never want anyone to think I'm saying this and I'm like, yeah, because I'm up here and you guys are down there. Like, no. I'll always say things that I notice about myself. Because I'm literally looking at myself in the camera. I'm talking to me. Okay, but I think this information could be good for you too. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, that's all this is about. It's about finding the best version of yourself and who you are and what you're meant to be. But you have to get rid of all this stuff along the way. And it takes a long time. And a lot of it's going to be you realizing that everything is a lie. Or you've misconstrued it. Not everything's evil. Not everything's of ill intent. Like, there's not this evil dark force controlling your life. I'm not trying to say that. I just mean sometimes you realize I was lied to because they didn't know any better. And neither did I. Or you have this belief system that fell apart and it's scary. It can be very scary. And in fact, the things in your worlds have counters to that so they can get you back in again. If you ever fall on the path, Jesus is always walking next to you in the sand. You know what I'm saying? There's always things to help you just, I can fall back in. Because it's created that way. It's made by people. This is a safety net. The whole point of it. So no matter what happens, there'll always be doubt in your life. You may stray from the path of your religion or your, maybe your neighborhood, maybe the mindset or something, right? When you stray from it, you're going to be in a world of confusion because you've never traveled that path before, nor has anyone around you. So when you're doing that, all roads will lead back to that point to say you should just go back. Because there is a road back. You just got to find it again and you can get right back and it's fine. And there's all these signs of people that went out before you and tried to find their own way. And they got scared and they went back. And so they made road signs of how to get back and liturgical kind of belief systems or catechism or, all these things that people do. These signposts that say, here's how you find your way back again. Because they went back. That doesn't mean that it's supposed to be back. So it's really hard to get all this stuff out. I'm trying my best to stay as focused as I can, but that's just not how my mind works. I feel like I'm harvest, I feel like I'm going into shit and just plucking it out as I'm doing this. So it's hard for me to stay concise. But what I'm trying to say, I will labor it one more time. What you see and what you cannot explain is what is inside of yourself. If you learn to meet something that you cannot explain, whether that's the reality that we live in or this strange, fantastical, imaginary thing called ghosts and aliens and fucking, I don't know, other weird demons and angels and all these things that cannot be explained. That shit's just as much you too. It's what you put in it when you're met with something. Some people, okay, here we go. This just came up. Here's one. One time I was trying to go to sleep, and this was after my strange dream that I had with the shapeshifter, that deer that I had to fight. As I was laying there, a woman came and visited me. She was very beautiful. There was light all around her. It was magical. It was wonderful. I was terrified in a sense of awe. And I had to look away. I felt small and disgusting. I felt like a little grubby man. And this divine feminine woman was just, bam, right there in front of me. She didn't say anything. She just looked at me and smiled. Okay? So, and then she vanished. Here's an opportunity for all of us right now as an experiment to say, what was that? Who was that? Do you know what a lot of people will say? Virgin Mary. Obviously. Why else? What else could it be? You know? Well, the old gods were turned down, reshaped, reformed, and put out into new God. That shit doesn't exist anymore. My society says this is this and that is that. It's the Virgin Mary. That's what it was. She was wrapped in these linens. She had a glowing light around her. She had this smile. That's the Virgin Mary. That's what it was. Is what a lot of people, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of people will say, right? If you're inclined this way. But that's not what I thought it was. In fact, I didn't know what it was. I didn't put anything on it. I just said, I don't know what that is besides my guide. She finally came and visited me visually. I joked about, oh, it's Artemis, right? Because that's kind of, Virgin Mary was kind of copying in a sense, you know? In some strange sense. It's really weird. Diana and all that. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not really here to talk about that stuff, but, right, she was made from those pillars. It is interesting that that's kind of a thought I had, like, oh my God, that's her. I don't know. But I didn't put in it any cultural thing that I was supposed to, that I should have. There was a part of me that wanted to, that tried to, but I said, no, no, no. And I did talk about it on the video. I talked about this in a video at some point. I don't know what it was called. Divine Visit or something, I don't know. I did try to put something in it, but then I realized I can't do that because this isn't how that works. And that's my point. You put inside of it what you will. And so if I would have said, oh, that was her, can you imagine what my role would have been? Look how much it affects everything that happens to you. One encounter with something I cannot explain could have taken me down a path vastly different than where I'm at now from one moment. And that's what's interesting about it. You are what you see and how you identify what you see. And that's all I'm trying to labor here. And that shit works, as you can clearly hear, in this paranormal supernatural area as much as it does in your day-to-day life. When you despise the people that you despise and love the people that you love. That's all you. You know what I mean? But I think I'm going to end it on that. We'll see where this goes, my friends. I kind of want to leave it at that point and just see what happens here and see what kind of things come up 10 years from now when I get more than one comment. You know what I mean? Like, we'll finally get to see just what people think. And I would not be surprised if there's a lot of people that don't want to understand it or can or think it's wrong. That's fine, you know, like, why wouldn't that be? And it'd be cool if people agree with it or at least found something in it for themselves that they can branch off of and go with. Whatever works, man, whatever kind of gets your heart's desire going. I guess that's what I'm here for, you know, for good or for bad. But anyway, it's time for me to pop, and I shall see you guys in the next one.